Kroc Center in Augusta means that we will all have a place where we can go and reach our full potential. Because as we're all going through life, which can be very challenging at times, the Kroc Center is going to offer an opportunity for you and for me and for everyone sitting in this room and for everyone in this community who wants to take it. And that's a very unique thing to be able to offer, because this facility has been designed and programmed so that you can bring an entire carload of people here and you can all go to one location and do lots of different things. It'll be a place where we can all just go and reach our full potential. We can all go and have experiences, positive, life-changing experiences that maybe we just wouldn't have otherwise. So for you, that might mean one thing, and for me, it might mean another, but we can both go there and have both those things realized.
It started really back in 2004. It was not too long after Mrs. Kroc had passed away, and my wife was assigned to a committee to review all the ramifications of what the legacy of Mrs. Kroc was going to be. So in January 2004, she went to this committee, and she came back and she told me all the things that had happened. And I went to my board and I said, there are some funds that are available. We had been looking at the fact we needed to do some expansion of our present facility. It just was dated. And she said she had an inside track because she had been on this committee and these monies were available. So I spoke with Duncan Wheel at that point in time. He was our chairman. And we started having this vision of what are the possibilities, and the fact that we knew about things and monies that were available, but nobody else did because she was on that committee. So it really started back in January 2004. By June, and I think it was June 6th, was the first time we presented the whole idea to our board about these monies that were available. And then I heard about this one guy. His name was Derek Dugan, and this guy had this wonderful vision. He worked for Golden Harvest, which is a wonderful organization. He had this grandiose idea about putting all these different agencies together to come together under one roof. So I went and spoke with Derek, and we had a long meeting, and he had a wonderful idea, and the Salvation Army had some possibilities of some wonderful funding through the Kroc monies. So bringing all these ideas and these visions together, and talking with Derek and talking with the board, we made a presentation in June 2004 is when they embraced the idea of we might be able to do this Kroc Center.
There had been a culture in Augusta of to each their own, and a lot of organizations had been doing a lot of, backbiting is a little too strong a word, but a lot of competition between the nonprofits to get funding. And it had reached a point where there were a group that said, it's time for us to all be working together. And that culture was starting to shift. And at that time, we were the organizations that were working together. At the time, I was with the Food Bank, Salvation Army, Augusta Urban Ministries, several other, the social service nonprofits began working together under one roof for a purpose. And so that evolved into the partnership model for the Kroc Center. The idea being we are the organizations that are working together to make the city better.
The mindset of those at corporate headquarters, including myself, was that, that's nice. I'm glad that everybody's excited. Again, who wouldn't be excited about having a Kroc Center in their community? But it's just not going to happen financially. It's impossible for a city the size of Augusta to raise $20+ million toward an endowment match. So I think while everybody was excited about the possibility, nobody really felt like it was achievable. I think in the back of everybody's mind, it was a nice idea, but not going to happen in this community. I remember hearing comments from various members of the community, some that were shown in those photos holding up the I'm for Kroc sign, saying that Chip and Lisa Hall have this community eaten out of their hand. they will make this happen. I even heard people say Chip Hall could run for mayor right now and win. So he had the whole community involved in the I'm for Kroc project, and based on the effort that was made, I think that campaign, the I'm for Kroc campaign, went a long way toward helping the application process get approved finally at the territorial level.
But the concept and the vision of what we were doing was embraced, and so the application was approved, and then we went on to the next step. The Salvation Army has moves, and it's just the way the Salvation Army operates is if they have a need someplace else that can use the skills of a specific set of officers, you get moved. And so we were called, and I remember the day we were called, and we were affirmed that we were going to be moving. And all sorts of different emotions went through my mind. One being, I cannot believe we're being moved. Another one saying, this is a lot of work. Can anybody else handle it? And how can anybody else come in after I have, and my wife and I, and our team that have worked so hard, and Derek, and Duncan, and Tom, and Norm, all of us who have worked so hard putting everything together, how can anybody step back in and take over the reins from here?
And when we got the word that the Masons, and of course I didn't know the Masons, I don't think anybody really knew the Masons, were very concerned. But I can absolutely tell you that they were the right people at the right time.
It was about 7:30 in the morning. I went to exercise.
Yes.
I was jogging.
Left me home to get a call.
And the phone rang, and I said, sweetheart, you need to come meet me. So she came and met me on my jogging route.
Yes.
And
in the van.
We got in the minivan, and we called our divisional commander, and he told us where we were going and essentially what we were going to do. And we just looked at each other and went, uh-oh. We knew it was quite a task, and
Yes.
we were joyful, but we were also petrified. You know, I just remember us looking at each other in shock because we couldn't believe.
And we also
that-
had to go home and tell a little boy that his life was going to change as well. And we really baited him along with the whole idea there was going to be a pool.
Swimming pool.
And still 3 years later, he's saying, where's that pool?
And now that he sees it, he's
happy.
excited.
We were faced with a fundraising campaign that was twice as large as in any campaigns that had been in the history of Augusta. But you have to look at it and say, you know, if this is what's needed, and so far every obstacle that's been put out there by any entity has been overcome. It really came down to selecting just the right campaign chairman, and really thinking maybe bigger than what we had thought before. And God brought our way Mr. Boone Knox.
I remember Boone walking in, and we had everything set up. You know, we had the table set up with all the little presentation packets laid out for him, and had our entire pitch ready. And he was just, what a neat fella. And a long story short, it was a pleasure to be associated with him.
And with him and his team, his absolutely fabulous team that he hand-selected, it's phenomenal to think that in 10 months you raised $22 million. Pledges for $22 million. That doesn't happen. That's really exciting. And Augusta itself should be so very excited about that, because that was accomplished with just a little over 300 donors. That's phenomenal.
When I heard that the fundraising goal had been exceeded, I was ecstatic. And for a lot of different reasons, this was the largest fundraiser in the history of Augusta. But once again, I always wanted to stress that this was during the worst recession that I've seen in my lifetime, that most people that I know have seen in their lifetime. And just to see that a city and a community could come together in this fashion and raise that much money in an economy like that, it blew me away.
Well, first of all, the day we had the campaign celebration luncheon, it was a really emotional day, I'm going to be honest with you, because there was so much joy. Okay, because I knew at that point that we had raised the money. The folks gathering did not, but I knew that we had raised the money, and I knew that the campaign was, essentially completed. And so I had just an overwhelming amount of joy inside me. And to where you just want to kind of go stand on the rooftop and scream, we did it type thing. I also had a lot of emotion because it was a long journey. And we also knew that Boone was going to be there that day. And he had taken ill at that point, and we were making a special presentation to him that day. We had a replica made of the cross tower, and so we were going to present that to him and his wife while they were there that day. And so to be able to present that to him in front of all his peers and his family, and to be able to announce that because of him, essentially, we had succeeded our campaign goal, and to have all 100 and some odd of the campaign volunteers there who had gathered around us and him and made this happen, it was a day that I'll never forget. It was filled with emotion, laughter, tears, excitement, joy, just everything you can imagine.
We have exceeded the $20 million in pledges needed to declare victory for our Kroc Center campaign. Yes.
Well, that morning we got up and it was cloudy and overcast and rainy, if I'm not mistaken, and Captain and Mason had gone to all this trouble putting tents up and having everything so well organized, but it had rained and it was muddy, and I just thought it was going to be a disaster, to be honest with you. But when they struck up the band, the sun came out. We had a huge crowd. I had to make a short presentation, and it just elated me. It just made me feel like $1 million to think that we're actually at the point where we're going to break ground. And when we stuck the shovels in the ground, I'd never done that before, and that was just a real thrill. It absolutely was.
Every one of you have done the impossible. You have done the impossible. God has blessed our efforts and blessed the efforts of all of you, and I want to congratulate you.
One of the key elements the entire process was, working with others. And so we knew that we were in a very historic neighborhood. We knew that we wanted the facility to reflect a true beauty and really be a positive addition to that neighborhood and for the entire city, for that matter. And so we worked with Historic Augusta and the Augusta Canal Authority and concerned citizens and partner agencies because we wanted their input. Though the Kroc Center is a privately funded facility and we could have done whatever we wanted with it, we wanted to make sure that we heard a lot of voices. And so it was really neat too, because a lot of our architectural elements on the building, a lot of the unique looks of it are reflections of the architecture in the neighborhood in which it's being built.
The next challenge was establishing a concept plan and finding the best layout for the building given the site constraints that we had. Some of the site constraints included obviously coordination with several of the local Augusta authorities, Historic Augusta, Canal Authority. We're fortunate on this site to have, it's a very historic site in the fact that we're addressing the two historic mills here in Harrisburg. We have the Ezekiel Harris House there on Broad Street, and all of those had to be considered in the building layout and as well as in the site design.
Yeah, when we were chosen to be the architect for the Kroc Center, there was euphoria throughout the office. It was
and panic,
and a little bit of panic, but
we got to get this done.
It was an amazing thing to know that after all the efforts we'd made to win projects in this town, we finally got the best one, and couldn't have been a nicer day.
I think that the Kroc Center opening this summer, the summer of 2011, is going to bring artistic opportunities and experiences to some people who maybe have never felt that the arts were for them before. I think it's kind of like the everyman experience, where having a beautiful state-of-the-art center in the middle of the Harrisburg neighborhood not only will affect Harrisburg and the downtown area, but all of Augusta will realize that this is for them.
When a community comes together and decides something is right for it, it gets done no matter who's involved, no matter how long it takes. You know, there were so many ups and downs with this project. It's, you know, it goes from here and there and here and there, but never off course. The leadership has been consistent. The vision was set for us very early, and I think that it was, we used to talk about it in the meeting sometimes. I used to hear Chip Hall say, this is going to happen. It didn't matter, and he really meant that. And we were talking about, we weren't shoveling dirt. We weren't even close to shoveling dirt. We were thinking about dirt. We knew it was going to happen. And so here we are, half a decade later, 7 years later, and it's up, and it's here. And I'm glad. I'm a member.
I know that it's, of course, going to improve so many lives, from so many different walks of life. And it's going to be a place where you can be in the swimming pool, or you can be in worship, or you can be in a class with people from all over the greater Augusta area, and you won't know where they live, or you won't know what they've been through in life. You just know that you're all there for one reason, and that's to have a positive, life-changing experience. And you can do it together, and you can do it in the Kroc Center.